Welcome to the Patricia Jo Grover Show, where we turn believers into achievers. And I have a special guest today. This is Dr. James Omps. Now, he is an international speaker, an educator, a writer, a philosopher, and a composer and musician with an expert understanding of entrepreneurship and entreprenology. Dr. James, also known as Dr. Jim Omps, is a professor of entreprenology and is the president of the international. He is passionate about the experiences that successful entrepreneurs bring to our world, and how, especially in the pandemic economy where businesses and life merge, these creative men and women are the ones creating the positive impact on the current global economic situation. Entreprenology is the unique discipline of all entrepreneurs who grow value for humanity as well as wealth. With 40 plus years in business experience across the globe, US, India, Malaysia, and Asia Pacific, he brings open-minded perspectives to the table for examination and understanding. So he says our motto is to bring knowledge, experience, and imagination together, and we acknowledge each candidate that enrolls in our experimental PhD in entreprenology is their life's purpose, passion, and contribution, including all the ups and downs. And this continually adds to the learning of students. Oh, fantastic, Dr. Omps. So, welcome to the show. This is so huge right now because I truly believe every single one of us always need to have that will to learn and grow. And we have done so much with our own. People don't give themselves enough credit for that. That's where people have a hard time tooting their own horns with what they are bringing to the plate and what tools. And I work with clients to build their toolbox to success. And where I want to lead this for you is that I teach people how to find their strengths and their opportunities that they have. And a better way than to share what you are talking about today.
Well, and thank you for having me on, Patricia.
Yes. Patty is fine too.
Yes, that would have been a great Southern name because I can just hear Patty Jo.
That's that's what I was called a lot, Patty Jo.
That was like name. But no, I mean, as you pointed out, I mean, I've been working in the field of entreprenology with the founder of the International University of Entreprenology, who just happened to be my father. He passed away, but working with him was a continual learning experience. But I mean, isn't that what life is supposed to be anyway? But we decided some time ago that the experiential part of life, those are the tools that will serve you first. And as time goes along, I mean, and I speak from my own academic education, and that is, and you said it in your intro. You said that you talked about tools, and that's what you get. You get tools. How you ever use them that's up to you, and life will dictate how you need to go to the toolbox. So thank you. The experiential part, and I mean, more and more traditional universities are giving academic credit for life experience, but I always thought they were a little stingy. Now, 10 years experience will get you 3 credit hours, and I go, boy, that's a little arrogant. But anyway, I have no argument at all with traditional education. It serves an absolute for the people that are out there, entrepreneurs, entreprenologists, creating jobs, they need qualified, well-educated employees to do the part of the work. So, I mean, it's, like I said, Entreprenology has no quarrel at all with academic education the way it is. But bringing knowledge, experience, and imagination together, I was the one that put that to the university decades ago. Dad asked me, he said, well, not our catchphrase. And I go, well, bringing knowledge, experience, and imagination together, because the key to moving forward, if you will, depends on whether or not you exercise your imagination.
Bravo, bravo. Just like I teach my clients, you have curiosity be greater than your fear.
That, and may I use that going forward?
Oh yes, yes.
I'll give you credit. I want that, but I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And just if you can text me that in an email,
yeah,
I would
sure.
would love it. We're always looking for the people that see things. The list of highly successful entrepreneurs and entreprenologists, you can hear quotes about things like that from every one of them at one time or another. It is interesting in this particular thing we've been going through since the first of the year. It's interesting. They said, well, how are we going to get back to normal? Frankly, I don't think there is a normal that we're going to achieve again, nor should there be. This is an opportunity to move forward unencumbered. We spend too much time praising ourselves for what we've done and not enough time looking at things that need to be changed and actually doing something to make that come about. And I mean, I know that, and using example, here we are in the middle of this life change, and you're out here perhaps putting people in front of an audience that can help them see a different way, a way forward, unlike anything we've known in the past. In my 76 years, I've never seen anything that brings the world to a complete halt. Other than my favorite movie, I think I was 8 years old when I first saw The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Right.
And that's what. It's interesting how that came to mind when the pandemic brought everything to a stop, and I go, wow, that's interesting. But even in the movie, they said to move forward, you can't continue to do the things that bring up big questions about, well, why are you doing this? What are you doing? You need to do something that is positive and something that is good for everybody.
Yeah.
You won't always please everybody, but at least if you're making, you're taking that needed step forward.
Yes, I could not agree more. And that is the thing. People, we all need, every single one, we need to bring something to the plate that is going to make a positive impact, and do everything that we can do to make that happen. And if you have that passion for that, you can make it happen.
Well, it is, and you're absolutely correct. It's not enough anymore to say what you're going to do.
Right.
You have to take action.
Yes.
And I mean, the action needs to be positive. It's interesting that over my time, I can remember struggling very early on. Well, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What can I do? I mean, I'm one person, and it's I don't know where the quote comes from, but it's a good one. It's, be the change you want to see others.
Yeah.
So you have to start somewhere. I think it was Michael Jackson that said, "I'll start with the man in the mirror."
Yep, there you go. And I'm one. It all starts want something more for other people than they have to want it for themselves.
Absolutely,
and that's so
absolutely. True. And I every now and then you'll hear me sing in music a song, and I was always very quickly. I saw a piano for the first time at the age of 4 years old. My father got it. He was taking a music course in college, and I intrinsically knew how it worked. And I would start playing songs that I heard on the radio, because my mother liked to listen to the radio at the time. And I go, wow. And I admittedly, I was lazy. I should have paid attention when my mom paid for piano lessons, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I could hear it. I could rough it out of my piano teachers that said, "You're not reading the music, are you?" And I go, "No." And they said, "How do you do what you do?" I said, "I don't know, but I can do it."
Right.
But each of us has something resonates that they can feel here. And that's you. Yeah.
I get it. And it's to pull that out of people. Cause that's what I do. That's what I do, Dr. Jim, is I work with people to really dig out and help them know their purpose and their why. And then I teach vision. So when they have that dream in their mind, I have to help them know that they're worthy and capable of having dreams. But when I help them put that together so that they can feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it, emotionally and physically, so that when they put those things together, they're unstoppable. So this is a fantastic conversation.
Well, and it's, I listen to you, and I think, is she reading my mind? I mean, it's like somebody takes a page you've read and you go, wow. So somebody else can see that as well. And that's what's been the most gratifying part of the road that I've traveled, is when you meet somebody that understands what you say to the extent that they can share something that integrates with what you've been doing. I mean, and I love the way I love your mission to help people recognize what it is that drives them. I was, among other things, a former police officer, Washington, D.C., of all places.
Oh, wow.
But because of that experience, when Pauline and I were in Malaysia, it was a law college that we worked with. And I was asked by one of the instructors, can you come in and talk to my class? We're getting into, the law, the repercussions of this and that. And he said, just talk, oddly enough, experience. People like to hear stories about something they're interested in. So I went in and I gave my experiential talk, and, then you take questions, and I did. And it was, after it was over, the instructor said, Jim will be here off the side of the stage, for anybody that'd like to come up and ask additional questions. I had a young man come up, and he said, he said, can I ask you a personal question? I said, absolutely. It's about me. But he said, I don't want to be taking law. My mom and dad want me to. They said, I'll get a good job. And I said, and you'll get a good job if that's what you want. And he says, but that's it. I don't know what I want. And he said, tell me what I should do. And I said, no, that's not how it works.
Right.
And you know this. And I said, I said, what do you like to do? He says, well, I don't really know. And we talked, just kind of went back and forth for a few minutes. And he says, I love taking electronic things apart and see how they work. And I go, maybe that's a place to start.
Right.
It's fascinating. And it's, as you said, you cannot tell somebody what to do. How do I? No, you know, you figure out with it. I've loved music for my entire life. My parents would have said, as a consequence. I mean, I've made at times when I couldn't find any of the work, I've made very good living playing music professionally.
Wow.
So I mean, it's something even today. If somebody says, "Oh, do you ever perform for parties?" Yes, indeed. You got the right person.
There you go.
And I said, the upside is I won't charge you that much because I love what I do.
There you go. That's fantastic. That talent. Yeah.
And everybody needs to understand that, because we've all got gifts. We do. It's a matter of just recognizing what that gift is. And I mean, I salute the job that you're doing, because it is critical, particularly in this time. Because as we start to emerge, we're emerging into a world that the instruction manual has not yet been written on.
Exactly. So what I would want to share with you, Dr. Jim, is that I have been hired by parents middle school age and high school, so take their high school years more seriously in getting them into what they need to get into for school and for courses if they're going to college. So I've done that, and then I've also worked with people that have retired from jobs that they've had, you know, and now they have a hobby that they're looking to create a business out of, you know, so with that full range. But also I want people to realize we have our world. When we go back out into this world, we're going to need all kinds of blue collar workers and tradespeople. Not everyone needs to go to college. Yes. And so it's what do you have that passion or enjoyment in doing, when so many people now are looking at the businesses that they worked at or owned have had to close. So people, just like everybody else, shifting and pivoting. So now is the best time to be digging deep for your passions. If there was a dream, I tell somebody, if there was a dream that you had when you were a child that keeps coming, there's a reason for that.
Yes, there is.
Right. So we're almost like two peas in a pod, because, you know, I really have that. When I work with people, again, it's having the curiosity be greater than their fears. But I say I teach conquering skills education, all the way from dream weaving to achieving. And it's not a straight line in between. There's many pieces that go into this puzzle, but it's to teach people that they have to have the courage to work the plans that I help them. And I believe in, I teach people how to build a smarter plan, because it has to be editable and revisable, because life happens to every single one of us, whether we're ready for it or not.
That's right.
But also they have to have the courage to work these plans and the consistency, and they need to learn these things. So I teach all about organization and planning and calendaring, because and you'll get a kick out of this, because you know who Dr. Wayne Dyer is.
Yes.
You're right. So one of his things he says is, it's never a crowded aisle. Okay, and you know something, most people think of it this way. They think of that extra mile as the high achievers, and there's only so few of them up there, which is true. There's not a lot of people up there, but it's because they don't want to walk that extra mile. The extra mile is actually behind the scenes, putting together that foundation and doing the small things to create their smarter plan for achievement.
Like you said, it may not be high profile, but the reward.
Exactly.
And that's and I mean, like I say, listen to you describe what you do, the things you do. And I mean, and you're absolutely correct. Some of the highest paying jobs available today, even before the pandemic started, are skills jobs. Why? Because it's just something in high school. when I was going through high school. If you opted for vocational school, and there were those as well,
Yep.
you were kind of, you're smart. And that is such a mistake.
Exactly.
Because some of the most, I've gotten engaged in conversations with welders, and I go, this guy's amazing. But he loves what he does too. He doesn't have to go out and continually impress somebody with how much he knows. And I believe it was an old philosopher from even before my day by the name of Will Rogers. And he said, you ever notice how stupid somebody becomes when they get away from the one thing that they're expert in?
Oh, yeah. See, that's so true. So true.
It is. But
Awesome.
that's why, and I mean, the need for skills help, the need for people like you, Patricia. These are the things that can no longer be overlooked. And I mean, there are those who won't ask for help, and that's where you become exceptionally important, because if you can talk to them long enough, like that young fellow in the law class, you'll find out more about them by talking. I'm sure I have a feeling that you have a way of putting people very much at ease, which you did with me. I was nervous before I came on here, and you have a very pleasant way of reaching out, and more than that, reaching in.
Thank you. And I take that as such a compliment, because I do feel like that, because the road that I have walked to get to where I am, and having people break the cycles of the limiting beliefs that we have that are holding us back. And for me, I'm also about breaking, I work a lot and I'm talking a lot on domestic violence summits and everything, because I experienced that as a child. And so in my family history. So I am very in tune with the effects that it has on us as women in trying to have healthy relationships and lives, and how it just affects everything. So it's all about breaking the cycles. You have to have that the mindset of, if you want something to be different, you have to take action, and like we said, positive action to do that.
Yes. Well, and like you said, break the cycle. And I mean, COVID has done for the overall, it's broken the cycle. We can move forward without having to depend so much on what we know. And then it was one of my favorite quotes is by Albert Einstein. He said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge can limit you. Imagination encircles the world.
Oh, that's so fantastic. That is fantastic. I love it. And again, so you were just saying about how COVID has broken the cycles. Now that those cycles are broken, we can rebuild it better and healthier and more productive than ever before, if we have the right mindset of the approach.
That's the magic word, mindset.
Yeah, fantastic. So I know we could. But we'll come back to on track for a bit. So why do you think knowledge imagination is more important than the academic rigor and sitting in the classroom?
And I'll give you very quickly. I'll give you something that my father taught me. Dad was a university professor. He retired professor emeritus at the University of Hawaii. He was in the College of Business, and he said, if I give a question, I have 5 students. If I give one question to 5 students, he said, I should get 5 different answers. And he said, because everybody perceives something differently, even if it's a very small perceptive difference. But he said, if all they're trying to do is figure out what I want them to say,
right?
He said, then they're limited. And I mean, road education is limited. But if I got 5 different answers. He said, this goes beyond me, beyond my level of expertise, at least 1 or 2 of them. And he said, we can create new knowledge. And I thought, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the difference between sitting in a classroom and trying to give something back verbatim, as opposed to being in a situation where the question goes out and you go, wow. I mean, even case studies, and I did case studies in my later years, they still have an answer. They're still looking for, well, oh, this was the right answer. But the question I would have then is, but maybe one of these other answers would have worked just as well, or who knows, even better, because life is not a one-answer quiz. It's not.
That is so true. Oh, I applaud that. That is fantastic. So now, can you tell me, what is the foundation or the history of this approach that you do with entrepreneurial?
Okay, well, it actually goes back when my father was with the Ford Foundation in India back in the 60s. He worked for the Small Industries Extension Training Institute, and it was involved in business. And what he started learning with a colleague of his at the time was that we get too stuck in well, this is the way we always do it. Why? Well, because it's the way we've always done it. And he says, that's what he started looking at. He said, sometimes you get one person that makes all the decisions in a business. And he said, it's so limited, you are taking away from the potential of the resources you have.
Yeah.
And he said that was where it started. So it started in the 60s, and he came back from Ford. He went to work at the University of Hawaii, and he went to Taiwan to give a seminar. A seminar in top management to the most successful businessmen in Taiwan at the time. That was in 1972. And he was frightened. He says, what can I tell these men, these people, that they don't already know? They've put it into practice. And it was the Minister of Economic Development that said, I want you to tell them something about